Honorable viewers, I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel, Department of English. Today's topic is Summary of Elegy written in a country Churchyard, written by Thomas Gray. So let's get started. Thomas Gray was born in business family in London in 1716. He died in 1771 and was buried at Stoke. Elegy written in a country churchyard is his best poem. It is a famous elegy in English literature. This elegy consists of 32 stanzas. Gray chooses evening for the time of morning. In stanza 4 to 7, Gray describes the cause of morning. He laments for his ancestors. These dead villagers will never come back to life and join their children or work in their fields. In the next four stanzas refer to universal laws of nature. Pride, power, wealth cannot save one from death. Death is must for all. In the stanzas from 12 to 18, the poet glorifies his ancestors. To the poet, perhaps there were a few persons who could have been a great poet or great ruler if they were not poor. Perhaps there were persons like Hampden, Milton, or Cromwell, but they could not flourish because of their poverty. The poet has glorified the dead, humble villagers in particular and the simplicity of the common life in general. In stanza 19 to 20, Gray would like to say about his own tale. In 32 stanzas, the poet critiques the ambitious and aristocrats people and admires the humble villagers buried in the churchyard. Quotation: let not ambitious mock their useful toil, their homely joys and destiny obscure. The poet would like to criticize the ambitious people in this sense that they ignore the poor villagers, whether living or dead. They also mock at a little achievements of these deprived people. But the poet wants to respect these humble dead villagers. The poet would like to assess their little contribution. In stanza 36, the poet criticizes the false pride of the people. Death is universal, so it is totally meaningless to be boastful. Quote: the boast, heraldry, the pomp of power, and all that beauty, all that wealth ever gave, awaits alike inevitable hour. The paths of glory lead but to the grave. To the poet, the boastful people are opposite pole of the humble rustic villagers. The boastful people forget that they have to die, but there is nothing to be proud of all the worldly sources of luxury and comfort. The poet hates false pride. He would like to show honor to his past humble villagers. Basically, there is no difference between these two classes of people. It is clear that the poet has glorified the rustic villagers by reminding a universal truth. In stanza 40, the poet has compared between the graves of simple villagers and the graves of the aristocratic people. The graves of aristocratic people are decorated nicely in order to sustain their memory. On the other hand, the graves of poor humble villagers have no decoration. Quote, if memory ever their tomb, no trophies raise. The poet mocks such kind of artificial decorations. To the poet, the ambitious people make tomb over their graves in order to focus their past glory. But the poet criticizes these unnecessary acts. To him, after death, there remains no difference between the urban rich and the rural poor. In stanza 56, the poet admires the poor unknown villagers buried in the country. Churchyard. After a criticism of the pomp and power of the rich people and their ornamented graves, the poet says that some of the humble villagers had exceptional qualities and great possibilities but could not materialize those qualities for their poverty. These poor people remained unknown like the hidden jewelry at the bottom of deep ocean. Quote, full many a game of purest raised in the dark unfathomed caves of ocean bear. Perhaps someone among them was able to rule the country. The poet argues that these humble people buried in the churchyard should not be ignored or hated. They had all potentialities, but fortune did not allow them to flourish. The poet has glorified them very sympathetically. The poet compares their courage with the courage of Hampden, Milton, and Cromwell. The poor villagers did not have any ambition. They did not have aristocracy and power to boast of. They were happy with whatever they had. They had no tension because they did not commit any shameful thing. These humble people lead a very peaceful life within their own limit. In the next few stanzas, he identifies himself with the humble villagers. Towards the end of the poem, the poet visualizes his own death. He was unknown to the people of the world just like the humble villagers. During his life, he was not happy with his name and fame. The poet says that he too led an honest life like the humble villagers. He was not known for his poetic power, but his heart was great. Quote, no father seek his marriage to disclose. The poet did not have enough. The poet did not have enough power to commit crimes or spread name and fame. He thinks that visitors to his grave should try to seek his merits. In a major part of the poem, the vanity of the wealthy and powerful people has been contrasted with the simplicity of the ordinary people. Gray's meditation on the death of the ordinary country people is humble and sympathetic and is based on universal facts. But his meditation on the vanity of people is the reflection of a social criticism. In the opening stanzas, the poet has established a mood of mourning. He has used several images of sound in the setting. While these sounds are related with evening, the landscape reflects the gloomy mind of the speaker. After setting a congenial mood for mourning, the poet reveals the cause mourning. The vanity of the rich people has been ironically revealed. Gray's social criticism begins from his eighth stanza. The poem reflects a strong dislike for the artificial, pompous way of life. This poem is considered as an exceptional elegy. Traditionally, an elegy mourns the death of a very close friend, but in this poem, instead of a single friend, the poet mourns for all the dead villagers. A melancholic mood runs throughout the poem. His selection of words and choice of imagery create the elegiac mood. The poet uses a grand style in this elegy. He has also made use of personifications in classical manner. For example, ambition, memory, death, and pride are personifications. The poem has both classical and romantic elements in it. The grave tone, the didacticism, the heroic verse lines, and the formal diction are classical elements. In this sense, he may be called a classicist. On the hand, his choice of nature as setting, selection of common people as characters, melancholic note, criticism of social vanities are romantic elements. The poet's main focus on the simplicity of life that he cherished. Like Shelley and Byron, Gray makes a bitter criticism of the power, pride, and artificiality of the rich people. Like romantic poets, Gray was also subjective. Like classical poets, Gray suggests moral lessons. He uses very formal diction and grand style. According to S. M. Abrams, the elegy is a formal and sustained lament in verse for the death of a particular person, usually ending in a consolation. Elegy written in a country churchyard is a famous elegy that deals with the morality of human beings in general and the decay of cherished way of life in particular. It ends traditionally with consolation like any other elegy. So that's all about elegy written in a country churchyard. For the time being, thanks your patience sharing.